Hey, good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about creating the sunglasses, and primarily we're going to be talking today about work planes and mirroring an object. So at this point I've drawn half of my frame. I've also drawn like the hinge that's going to go into my frame, but that's one of the main things that I want to show you today. So we're going to just kind of like erase that for the moment and start back where we don't have that. Okay, so now the issue with creating, like in my case particularly, this this hinge is the fact that like I don't have a flat plane to start drawing this thing on. I really want to draw it from the top view down. And because of that, I really need to create a work plane, which we have talked about before, but I want to like review really rapidly with you guys. So again, I really want to be drawing on my top plane, so I'm just going to turn that top plane on, and you can see now that like here's my top plane, but my top plane is actually more towards like the bottom of my object, or exactly at the bottom of my object. And I really want my plane to be like at the top or the bottom, either way I guess would work, of the hinge itself, right? So in my case, I want it to be on the top. So in order to do that, we're going to select the plane tool, and we're going to select that top plane because that's what we're basing our planes off of. So when I look at this thing straight on from either like the front, or in my case I'm in the back, you know, and it doesn't really matter, I can define the height of this thing, or I can flip the direction of it as well, but I can define the height of this thing to like whatever I want, right? So right now it's 1 inch. I want it to go higher, so maybe like 1.25. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty close. I actually probably want it a little higher than that personally. Like I want it towards the top of my glasses. Remember, like the bridge of your nose and the top of your ear, like the top of the ear is kind of at your like eyebrow area probably, you know, so like the hinge for your earpiece should be just a little bit above the top of your bridge of your nose. Okay, so when I bring this thing in here, that looks pretty good to me, so I'm gonna click the checkbox. So now I have this new plane. It's called plane 2. I don't need my top view any longer. I can start to sketch on that plane, and you know, I can start to draw that like hinge. Now another thing that will be really helpful for this, I think, for you guys is the section view, right? So underneath here we can go to section view, and oh, did I cut the wrong section? Turn the section off. Oh, select the plane, sorry. So I need to select my plane, and then boom, I've basically cut away at the top half. Now it hasn't gone away, it's just not there right now. And this gives me like the opportunity to really start to like add my pieces in, right? And I'm just using that like use tool that we've talked about before as like something that I can grab from. And you know, I think for me, I really want like the edge of my earpiece to be like flush with the distance from the edge of the frame here. Alright, so I'm gonna like offset between like the edge of my frame and here at like a 1/16 of an inch, because again, I kind of want like the earpiece to be a 1/16 of an inch wide. I want it to be flush with like this edge here. So that will start there. And then again, your hinge is going to need to have some sort of a hole in it, right? Like it needs to be, and again, your hinge design and my hinge design do not have to be the same. As a matter of fact, I'd really prefer them not to be the same. But you know, you're going to find like a point where you can start to include like these circles, because you need something that you can work with here. So I can like trim that stuff away there. I could even, if I wanted to, like make that thing tangent. I'm not going to right now, but now I can create like this here. Okay, so the inner hole is going to be like what your pin or your screw goes into, and then the outer hole is going to be like the outside of the hinge itself. So I'm going to click the checkbox here, and And then I can, you know, Shift and E, and I can now extrude that thing down. So it's going the wrong way right now, which is why it's getting cut off. So I'm going to put that. I should probably turn off my section view at this point, honestly, so I avoid that confusion. And I can say, okay, like I want this thing to go down maybe like 0.3 of an inch, maybe not even, honestly. That's pretty big. You know, like the scale of glasses, they're so small. Like those hinges on glasses are so tiny. So maybe like 0.15, half of that. Yeah, that's pretty decent. You know, and then I can go through and turn off that plane. And like I could sketch now on the side of this. And with that sketch there, you know, I can like cut away for the centerpiece, right? Because your frame is going to have like a few different points, maybe just one. It's really kind of up to you, I guess, but you need like, you know, some parts that will interlock with one another. So, you know, I think I made this, what, 0.15 in total height. So because of that, I'm going to make this like 0.05. And this is going to be 0.05 as well. No, not 90 degrees, but 0.05. And then the bottom one could be like, again, it's like 0.05. It's whatever is, what happened there? Whatever is left there, but apparently that didn't grab onto the right point here. And now I can go through and I can Shift and E and I can remove this stuff, you know. So there's something that would work perhaps as my hinge. Now one thing, because I've already filleted this, I can actually see that like this and that, you know, there's a bit of a gap there. So because of that, I'm just going to go back to Sketch 4 again real quick and make one fast adjustment so that it doesn't crash into that, something like that. And now like I have a gap there, so that's good. Okay, so now that I have my hinge in place and I have my frame in place, it's really time now to mirror this. So actually, when I created my fillet, I selected this edge here and here. I really shouldn't have, so let me unselect those edges. I can at least. No. Might need to change my fillet to a different point. Yeah, probably. Alright, well, we'll come back to that here. So watch what's going to happen. I'm just going to delete that fillet. Because it's going to just like screw everything up, right? So I have that fillet gone. I'll come back to that again. We're going to move on now to the mirror command. Okay, so the mirror tool is up here. We're going to select the mirror tool. And in this case, we want to do a part mirror, right? Everything's like the same part as part of your frame. We don't want to create a new thing. We're going to add to our frame, right? We're just mirroring the second half of our frame. It's still the same part. Where like with your left and your right earpieces, you can mirror those ultimately as well. They're going to be separate parts though. They're not going to be like one and the same. So you would say new, and then you could create your left earpiece. You could mirror that into your right earpiece or vice versa, right? But here, we're going to add, and it's going to be a part mirror. Okay, so when I go to select my entities to mirror, I want to come down here to my parts list, and I want to select the frame. Then it asks me, what is my mirror plane? And my mirror plane is going to be the center of the bridge. And that center line in your bridge should be going directly up and down. Okay, so that it mirrors exactly in the way there. And notice now that we've mirrored everything, like including our hinge, right? Because they were all in that same part. So we're going to click the checkbox. And now this thing is all the same part. So now I can come through and I can fillet. And you know, you're going to get errors in your fillets when they're too big. Like if I just were to click now and say like, oh, I can't do this fillet. And that's because my fillet is like 0.2 inches. Like it's absolutely huge compared to like the size of my frame. So maybe like I could say like 0.05 inches or something like that. And I could give that a try. And even that I think is kind of too big. Like in my for my personal preference. So maybe like a 0.02 fillet, maybe a bit small. Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. I can also fill like certain sections. Like honestly, I don't want to fill it a lot of the back of this. I definitely want to fill it around my earpiece. Oh, I guess it doesn't do the whole thing. That's okay too. Alright, so I can leave it at that. The interior on the front I want to be filleted. You could fillet the interior on your back too if you want. It's totally up to you guys what you do there. But I'll select those as well. That goes all the way around, and then I can click the checkbox. What you really don't want to fillet is your hinges, okay? They're going to be left the way that they are. Alright, so I have my front frames done at this point. Now it's time that I can like start to draw my left and my right arms, you know? And when I do that, like I would start sketching probably here. And, you know, again, you got to base things off of your own dimensions and, like, your shape. But I can just kind of show you, like, I would create, like, an arm that came out at 5.5 inches. Or whatever. Again, it's totally up to you. So now I can take this and, again, grab this arm. And, again, you're going to need more going on with this. But I can grab this arm. I can say, in my case, I offset my frame hinge at like 0.0625 or 1/16 of an inch. So I can change that to be 1/16 of an inch. And like, don't add, in this case, create new. You know, and then we can start to design within here and start to make like the other pin. And maybe you have like 2 pins, maybe you have 1 pin. The other pin that's going to, or not the pin, but the like socket that the pin will go into to create your hinge. And then you can start to like shape this thing and create some different pieces. Now some people may choose that they want to curve this in 2 directions. I'm going to create a new video on how to do that for you guys who are interested. But if you'd rather just leave it straight, you're welcome to do that as well. And by straight, I mean like straight from the top. There should definitely be some sort of shape going on in the side view. Okay, so the side view, you should have some cutouts. So let me show you like what I actually have for my finished product here. So I haven't gone through and colored this or anything yet. These are still just my basic pieces, but notice I have my frame, I have my left earpiece, I have my right earpiece, and I also have the pin that, or the screw that's going to be going down in and like holding my left and my right earpiece in place. Okay, and you can see that like the side of my earpiece has been designed. And again, the top of your ear, not like the top, but like where the sunglass is going to sit on, and like the top of your bridge are kind of aligned with one another. The bridge is a little bit lower than this, so you kind of want those 2 things to be vertically aligned. And I also, again, and I can show you this in a different video, I've also curved my arms in this direction as well. Okay, so I've done what's called a compound curve, where I have like a shape and a curve on the side, and I have a shape and a curve on the top. And I'll show you guys how to do that in another video if you want. But they could be straight back and forth with just some shape on the side there. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know.